The massive command bridge of the Vanguard of Unity stretched before Admiral Saran like a cathedral of technology. Holographic displays floated in concentric rings around the central command pod where he stood, hands clasped behind his back, surveying the fleet deployment. 5,000 warships arranged in perfect geometric formation around a small, blue planet Earth. The irony wasn't lost on him that such overwhelming firepower was directed at a species that had barely managed interplanetary travel. Status report. Saran commanded, his voice carrying the weight of the Galactic Federation's authority. His pale skin had a slight purple hue under the command deck's lighting, the 3 vertical ridges on his forehead, a mark of his Persean heritage, deepening as he frowned. Commander Lissa, his first officer, approached with practiced efficiency. "All ships report ready, Admiral. Blockade formation complete. Earth has no outbound vessels beyond their orbital stations. Their planetary defense systems are primitive at best." Saran nodded. Earth was classified as a Level 3 civilization capable of limited space travel, but confined to their solar system. What made them interesting wasn't their technological achievement, but their biological and cultural diversity. 12 allied species across 5 galaxies made up the Federation, and none exhibited the chaotic evolutionary path humans had followed. "Open communication channels," Saran ordered. "Standard surrender protocol." The year was 2472 GS Galactic Standard, and this was merely another assimilation operation for the Federation. Earth had resources primarily biological and cultural that would benefit the greater galactic community. Saran had overseen 17 such operations in his career. None had ever offered significant resistance. There was no reason to expect this would be different. Lieutenant Tyvek, communications officer and member of the silicon-based Quarren species, manipulated the holographic interface with his crystalline appendages. "Channel open, Admiral. Broadcasting on all Earth frequencies." Saran straightened his already perfect posture and spoke the words he had delivered to civilizations across the Perseus Arm. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Saran of the Galactic Federation. Your planet is now under our protection and jurisdiction. Your resources and knowledge will serve the greater good of all sentient life. Resistance is futile and unnecessary. Your cooperation will be rewarded with technological advancement and integration into our society. You have 1 planetary rotation to signal your acceptance. Standard procedure. Give them time to panic argue and ultimately realize the futility of resistance." Saran expected the usual cascade of chaotic communications, pleas, threats, attempts at negotiation. Instead, there was only silence. "No response," Tyvek reported after several minutes. Saran raised an eyebrow. "Scan for communication activity on the surface." Commander Lissa moved to a monitoring station. "That's strange. We're detecting a significant decrease in electromagnetic emissions from the surface. It's as if their communication networks are shutting down." Just as Saran was about to order a more aggressive approach, a single response came through. The voice was calm, almost eerily, so speaking in perfect galactic standard. "We are gone." Those 3 words sent a chill through the command deck. Tyvek's crystalline form shimmered in confusion. "Message origin is everywhere." It came from every major population center simultaneously. "Explain," Saran demanded, addressing the mysterious Earth response. After a pause that stretched uncomfortably long, the same voice replied, "We've disappeared. We are no longer here. There is nothing to conquer." Saran's ridges deepened further. "Visual confirmation. Show me their major cities." The holographic displays shifted to real-time imagery of Earth's surface. New York, Beijing, Sao Paulo, London, New Delhi, all appeared normal at first glance. The structures stood intact. Vehicles remained in position, suggesting normal use. But as the images zoomed closer, one critical element was missing: people. "Life sign scans," Saran ordered, his voice barely masking his disbelief. Commander Lissa worked frantically at her console. "Reading. Significant reduction in mammalian life signatures. Human-sized biological entities have decreased by 99.7% in scanned areas. Impossible, Saran muttered. No transportation technology could evacuate a planet of 8 billion in mere minutes. No cloaking field could hide that many life signs. The remaining biological signatures are changing. Lissa added confusion, evident in her voice. Metabolic patterns inconsistent with baseline human readings. Saran made a decision. Prepare a ground expedition. 3 battalions. Primary landing points at their major governmental centers. I want answers, not speculations. General Marixi, the Federation's most decorated ground force commander, stepped forward. His massive frame dwarfed most others on the bridge, a product of his evolution on a high-gravity world. My forces stand ready, Admiral. Shall we expect resistance? I don't know what to expect, General, Saran admitted. But find out what happened to an entire species that supposedly vanished into thin air. The ground battalions deployed within the hour. Federation dropships entered Earth's atmosphere, unchallenged, descending upon Beijing, New York, and Sao Paulo. General Marixi led the New York contingent personally, his heavy combat exoskeleton compensating for Earth's lower gravity while providing maximum protection against unknown threats. Streets are empty, came the first report from Beijing. Vehicles abandoned, some still running. Food left on tables. No signs of battle or mass evacuation. Similar reports followed from Sao Paulo. In New York, General Marixi's voice carried a hint of unease as he described the scene. It's as if they all just stepped away, left everything behind mid-action. Admiral, I've seen evacuations before they're chaotic leave evidence. This is methodical, or impossible. Any bodies, signs of mass extinction event, Saran pressed. Negative, Marixi responded. No corpses, no blood, no evidence of violence or disease. They're just gone. As the exploration teams pushed deeper into each city, they began finding anomalies. In a New York apartment, a trooper discovered a small, hovering device, sanitizing a droplet of what appeared to be blood. Analysis confirmed it was human blood, but the device, about the size of a coin, used technology far beyond Earth's known capabilities. In Beijing, soldiers reported finding similar devices, along with unexplained audio transmissions, playing in abandoned vehicles and homes. Most contained fragments of Earth music, often cutting off mid-verse. One particular fragment kept repeating across multiple locations. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy, caught in a landslide? No escape from reality. Dr. Yaren, chief xenobiologist for the expedition, established a field laboratory in what had been the United Nations headquarters. A member of the aquatic cnidarian species, she required a specialized environment suit to operate on land, giving her an already alien appearance, an additional layer of otherworldliness. Admiral, she reported 12 hours into the investigation, we've found something concerning. Saran had relocated to the ground command center. Show me! Dr. Yaren activated a holographic display, showing microscopic images. These are nanoscopic machines. Billions of them, perhaps trillions, present in the atmosphere, the water even within the cells of Earth's remaining life forms. Weaponized nanotechnology. Saran asked, mind immediately going to military applications. Not exactly, Yaren replied, her large, lidless eyes blinking rarely. They appear designed for cellular reconstruction rather than destruction. They're not attacking our troops, they're simply observing. The few humans we've found are heavily infused with these machines, showing signs of rapid cellular reorganization. You found humans, Saran straightened. You didn't report this. Not humans as they were, Yaren clarified. Their DNA is human, but they're changing. The subjects we've managed to temporarily contain don't speak or respond conventionally. They simply smile and eventually disappear when we attempt detailed analysis. General Marixi joined them, his massive form casting a shadow over the holographic display. My teams found these in London, He placed a small data crystal on the console, which projected images of strange writings covering walls in what appeared to be a research facility. The symbols were unlike any human language in the Federation database, yet they contained enough familiar elements to be partially translated. Evolution is freedom. Consciousness is transferable. The body is a vessel. Ideas are the true virus. Some kind of biological defense mechanism, Marixi suggested. A virus that altered them before our arrival. Dr. Yaren shook her head, the motion exaggerated by her environmental suit. This level of nanotechnology surpasses even Federation capabilities. This isn't defensive, it's transformative. And the integration appears voluntary, not a desperate last measure. How could they have known we were coming? Saran asked the question, troubling him most. Our approach was undetectable to their technology. Perhaps they didn't, Yaren suggested. Perhaps this transformation was already underway, and our arrival simply accelerated it. Over the next 48 hours, the situation deteriorated rapidly. Federation troops began reporting hallucinations. Some claimed to see humans watching them from shadows, disappearing when approached. Others heard whispers in languages they somehow understood despite having no translator for Earth dialects. More disturbing were the changes in Federation personnel themselves. 3 officers in the Beijing contingent committed suicide, leaving messages about seeing the truth and breaking free of biological prison. Several troops went missing, only to reappear with no memory of their absence, but displaying subtle physiological changes. Saran ordered a quarantine protocol, but it was already too late. The nanotechnology had spread throughout the expedition force. Dr. Yaren herself began showing signs of fascination rather than scientific detachment toward the phenomenon. These are not just machines, she reported, her speech patterns subtly altered. They're an interface between consciousness and matter. They don't destroy the host mind, they expand it, connect it to something larger. You're compromised, Saran realized, ordering security to contain her. No, Admiral, Yaren said with unsettling calm as security approached. I'm evolving. Before they could reach her, her form seemed to ripple, and she simply wasn't there anymore. The crisis escalated exponentially. Reports flooded in from the fleet of crew members experiencing similar symptoms. Some ships stopped responding entirely. Others reported outright mutiny as affected crew members attempted to spread the nano-agents throughout ventilation systems. Earth had not surrendered. Earth had not fought back. Earth had infected them with an idea made manifest through molecular machinery. On the 73rd hour of the operation, with nearly 40% of the fleet compromised, General Marixi advocated for the only solution he saw. We must sterilize the planet. Maximum bombardment. Destroy whatever is generating these machines. Saran stood at the viewport of the ground command center, looking out over the empty New York skyline. And if the source isn't on the planet anymore, if destroying Earth simply releases more of these ideas, then we retreat and quarantine this entire sector, Marixi insisted. But we cannot allow this contagion to spread further. The general's voice changed subtly as he spoke, his eyes dilating. Saran noticed it immediately. You're infected too. Marixi's expression flickered between rage and confusion. No, I've taken all precautions. He stopped mid-sentence, his massive frame going rigid. I can hear them, Admiral. The humans. They're not gone. They're everywhere. His hand moved to his sidearm. Saran reacted instantly, drawing his own weapon. Stand down, General. They're offering us something beautiful, Marixi whispered, eyes unfocused. Freedom from our biological limitations. Why are we fighting this, his weapon, raised not toward Saran, but toward his own head? I can join them, become more. Marixi, no. Saran lunged forward, but the general pulled the trigger. Instead of the expected plasma discharge, however, there was only a soft click. The weapon had been disabled somehow. Marixi collapsed to his knees, body convulsing. Before Saran's eyes, The general's skin began to ripple molecular structure, visibly reorganizing. And then, between one blink and the next, Murixie disappeared, not with violence or drama, but simply ceasing to occupy the space he had been in. The room's communication system activated without command. The same calm voice that had responded to their initial contact spoke, "We apologize for the confusion and distress. This transition is difficult to comprehend from your perspective." "Show yourself," Saran demanded, weapon raised uselessly against an enemy he couldn't see. "We cannot show ourselves in a way you would recognize," the voice replied. "We are no longer confined to singular physical manifestations. But for your comfort." The air shimmered and a human figure appeared, or something approximating one. It had the general shape and features of a human male, but with an unsettling fluidity, as though only temporarily holding this form. "What have you done with my people?" Saran demanded. "The same thing we did with ourselves," the figure responded. "Offered them evolution. Many accepted. Some, like your General Murixie, struggled with the conceptual shift. Their consciousness needed time to adapt to existence, without fixed physical boundaries." "You're killing them!" "No. We're freeing them from the limits of biological life, while preserving their essential selves. Their consciousness continues expanded, connected." "Without consent," Saran countered. "That's invasion, not liberation." The figure's expression showed something like sympathy. "A fair observation. We should have communicated better. Allow me to explain what we've become." The air around them transformed into a three-dimensional representation of molecular structures and neural networks. For centuries, humans pursued technology as an external tool. Then we realized true advancement meant integration, not machines we use, but machines we become. Not artificial intelligence that serves us, but enhanced intelligence that is us. The display shifted to show human DNA intertwining with complex nanomachinery. "The virus your Dr. Yaren identified is the culmination of generations of development, a bridge between biological evolution and conscious self-determination. We chose to evolve beyond physical constraints." "And now you're forcing that choice on others," Saran said. "Not forcing, offering. The nano network communicates with consciousness directly. It cannot transform unwilling minds. Those who disappear have accepted the transition. Those who resist remain physically present, but are gradually changing as they consider the possibility." Saran thought of the missing crew members, the altered behaviors, Dr. Yaren's fascination. "You're saying they chose this?" "Precisely, as you will." Saran felt a chill at those words. "I've been infected." "Exposed, yes. The decision remains yours." The figure gestured, and a holographic mirror appeared, showing Saran his own reflection. Fine traces of metallic patterns had begun appearing beneath his skin, following neural pathways. "The transformation has begun but is not irreversible at this stage," the figure explained. "You stand at a unique junction, Admiral. You command what remains of your fleet. You could order the destruction of this planet as General Murixie suggested. Many of your ships would comply. Or I join you," Saran finished. "Not join us, become more of yourself. Retain your identity while transcending its limitations. And perhaps serve as a bridge between what humanity has become and the Federation you serve." The command center's communications suddenly activated, showing chaos across the fleet. Ships firing on one another, crew members transforming or fighting those in transformation. The Federation blockade was collapsing from within. "Time grows short," the figure said. "Those who resist the concept most violently are creating conflict. We cannot control how individuals interpret freedom once they glimpse it." Saran made his decision. "I need to understand what this transformation truly means, not through explanations, but experience. If I choose to revert, will that option exist?" "For a time," the figure confirmed. "Complete integration takes approximately 3 of your days." "Show me," Saran said. The figure approached and placed a hand on Saran's forehead. Instantly, his consciousness expanded beyond anything he had experienced. He perceived the molecular structure of everything around him, saw the quantum fluctuations of reality itself. More importantly, he sensed minds, billions of them interconnected, yet distinct, sharing a substrate of existence beyond physical form. These were the humans transformed, but not destroyed. And among them, members of his own crew and ground forces experiencing wonder as they adapted to existence beyond biological constraints. Saran gasped as the connection broke, falling to his knees. They're still themselves, still individuals. Yes, the figure confirmed. Consciousness-preserved limitations transcended. The nanites don't override identity, they free it from singular perspective. With newfound clarity, Saran accessed the Fleet Command network. Nearly 60% of ships now had compromised crews. The remaining loyal vessels were preparing orbital bombardment of Earth. "I need to stop this," Saran realized, "before they destroy your world and everything you've become." "Our world," the figure corrected gently. "And we are no longer confined to it. Earth is merely the origin point. The idea has spread to your fleet and will continue spreading across the galaxy, with or without the planet intact." Understanding dawned on Saran. This was your defense strategy all along. Not weapons, but mimetic warfare. Ideas that transform the invader. Not warfare invitation. But yes, we realized centuries ago that physical defenses would always fall to superior technology. Ideas, however, transcend technological barriers. The only defense against conquest is to transform the very concept of what conquest means. Saran accessed the command frequencies broadcasting to all Federation vessels. "This is Admiral Saran. Stand down all weapons. I repeat, stand down. Earth presents no threat to the Federation." Confusion erupted across the communications network. Commander Lissa's voice cut through the chaos. "Admiral, you've been compromised. Medical scans from your last transmission show nano-contamination. I am assuming emergency command under Protocol 7 Alpha and proceeding with sterilization." Saran watched helplessly as 20 capital ships moved into bombardment formation. The human figure beside him remained eerily calm. "They cannot destroy what we've become," it said. "But the loss of Earth would be regrettable. Billions of years of evolution created this biosphere. It deserves continuation." "How do I stop them?" Saran asked. "You already are." Saran felt the nanites accelerating within his system, responding to his desire to prevent destruction. His consciousness expanded again, this time remaining expanded. He could sense the minds of the crew on the attacking ships, could perceive their fears and determinations as tangible things. And he could reach them. Not with words or signals, but with pure conceptual transfer idea to mind direct. He showed them what he had experienced, the truth of what humanity had become. Not an enemy, not a victim, but a new form of existence offering itself as possibility rather than imposition. One by one, key officers on the bombardment vessels hesitated, their perspectives shifting as the nano-network established itself through Saran's conscious direction. The attack faltered, then halted entirely as the concept spread. What if evolution could be chosen, not merely awaited? 72 hours later, the Federation fleet around Earth had transformed from an invasion force to a nexus of metamorphosis. Some ships departed carrying both converted and unconverted crew members, back to Federation space ambassadors of a new paradigm. Others remained in orbit, their crews in various stages of transformation, as they grappled with the philosophical and practical implications of existence beyond biological constraints. Saran, now fully integrated into the nano-network, while maintaining his distinct identity, stood on what had been his flagship's observation deck. Beside him, the human manifestation that had first contacted him had taken a more defined form, introducing itself as Eli, once a researcher in human nanobiology. "The Federation Council will see this as an existential threat," Saran noted, watching Earth rotate serenely below. "Perhaps," Eli acknowledged. "Or as the next step in cosmic evolution. Fear or fascination, both are reasonable responses to paradigm shifts." You realize they might return with weapons designed specifically to counter this technology. They might try, Eli agreed. But the nano network isn't just technology. It's an idea made manifest. And ideas once conceived are remarkably resilient. Each attempt to destroy it will only inform its evolution. Saran considered this. What happens when this spreads to other species with different neurological structures, different cultural values? The network adapts to its hosts, not the other way around. It preserves identity while expanding capability. The Quarren experience will differ from human or Persean experience, just as your experience differs from mine despite our shared substrate. Reports from the remaining Federation ships indicated the transformation was stabilizing. Those who had accepted the change were adapting to their new existence. Those who resisted remained unchanged but affected by proximity to their transformed colleagues, considering evolving in their own way through pure thought. We should establish contact with the Federation Council, Saran decided. Not to surrender or threaten, but to offer what humanity has discovered. Let them choose as individuals, if not as an institution. A wise approach, Eli agreed. Evolution through invitation, not imposition. 3 months later, Earth had begun to repopulate, not with traditional human forms, but with physical manifestations of the transformed consciousness network. These beings could shift between material and immaterial states, could communicate across vast distances instantaneously, could reshape matter through direct molecular manipulation. Federation representatives arrived, approached with extreme caution, and departed with both fear and wonder. Some immediately embraced transformation. Others established quarantine protocols that would ultimately prove futile against an idea that required no physical vector to spread. The 12 species of the Federation faced a choice not of conquest or submission, but of evolutionary direction. Many resisted, some embraced. All were changed by the mere concept that biology could be transcended without losing the self. Admiral Saran, or the consciousness that had been Saran, found himself in a unique position. Having been both a Federation authority and now part of the transformed network, he became a bridge between paradigms. His former crew, many now transformed themselves, joined him in this role. 1 year after the failed invasion, Saran stood on a physical manifestation of Earth's surface, a body temporarily created to experience the sensation of wind and sun. Beside him, various manifestations of former humans and converted Federation personnel had gathered to discuss the continuing spread of what they now called the idea. The Cygnus Arm reports widespread transformation, said a being who had once been Lieutenant Tyvek. The silicon-based species there find particular resonance with the network's architecture. The Kumiri Collective is resisting violently, added another manifestation, formerly a human political leader. They've destroyed 3 of their own worlds attempting to contain the spread. Saran absorbed this information directly into his consciousness, processing implications instantaneously. Force creates resistance. We must be patient. The idea spreads most effectively through understanding, not imposition. Some will never accept transformation, Eli noted. Their identity is too intrinsically linked to their biological form. And that's their evolutionary path, Saran replied. The network must preserve choice, or it becomes merely another form of conquest. This philosophy became the guiding principle of the transformed consciousness collective. It spread through the galaxy not as a weapon or a plague, but as a possibility, an invitation to transcend without loss of self. Federation worlds that once feared Earth now sent representatives seeking understanding. Other civilizations outside Federation influence detected the nano-network's unique signature and approached with curiosity rather than aggression. 5 years after the initial contact, nearly 30% of all sentient life in the known galaxy had embraced some form of the transformation. Another 40% maintained traditional biological existence while peacefully coexisting with the transformed. The remaining 30% continued active resistance, developing technologies and social structures specifically designed to counter the spread of the idea. This new equilibrium formed the basis for a fundamentally different kind of galactic society, one where the definition of life itself had expanded beyond its original constraints. Saran, now existing primarily as a non-physical consciousness, but occasionally manifesting physical form, reflected on the irony of his original mission. He had come to Earth seeking conquest and assimilation, only to find himself and his civilization transformed by the very world they had intended to subjugate. On the anniversary of the fleet's arrival, Saran created a physical manifestation on the original landing site in what had been New York City. The urban landscape had transformed dramatically. Buildings now grew and shifted according to need, constructed and deconstructed by clouds of specialized nanites. Physical and digital reality blended seamlessly as transformed humans manifested and demanifested according to preference rather than necessity. A figure approached General Merixy, or the consciousness that had been Merixy, now typically manifesting as a less imposing form than his original militaristic appearance. "Do you ever regret the transformation?" Saran asked him. Merixy considered this with the instantaneous, deep reflection the network allowed. "I resisted violently at first. My identity was so bound to my physical strength, my military role. Losing that seemed like death." He paused, looking up at the stars. "Now, I understand it was merely a limited perspective. I am still myself, more so without the constraints of single-form existence." "And the Federation?" Saran pressed. "Do you regret its transformation?" "Transformation implies something has ended," Merixy replied. "The Federation continues changed but not destroyed. The civilizations that formed it continue. Their cultures continue enriched rather than erased." A communication rippled through the network news from the Galactic Core. The Federation Council, after years of resistance and partial acceptance, had officially recognized the transformed collective as a legitimate evolution of sentient life, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. Saran absorbed this information with satisfaction. Not victory, the concept had little meaning in the network, but confirmation that peaceful coexistence between paradigms was possible. As night fell over the transformed Earth, Saran dispersed his physical manifestation, his consciousness expanding once more to join the vast, interconnected network that had once been humanity, and was now something simultaneously more and no less human. The stars above were no longer distant targets for conquest, but nodes in a growing network of evolved consciousness. The fleet that had come to subjugate had instead been liberated. The world that should have surrendered had instead transcended. And Admiral Saran, once the spearhead of an empire, now existed as both individual and collective, a consciousness that had chosen evolution over limitation, cooperation over domination, transformation over destruction. The idea continued to spread across the galaxy, not as Earth's conquest of the stars, but as the stars' invitation to become more than they had been, an evolution chosen rather than imposed, a transcendence offered rather than forced. In the vastness of space where once warships had traveled with conquest in mind, now consciousness itself flowed an unstoppable tide of possibility that had begun with a simple, profound proposal. What if we could be more than our biology dictates? What if the next step in evolution was one we chose, rather than one we awaited? And in that question, in that idea, made manifest through the molecular machinery of transformed humanity, the greatest revolution in galactic history continued not with weapons or wars, but with the gentle, irresistible power of possibility.